Hello there, my friends. Today I decided to take a little time to draw this pattern that I created for you all last week. And so today I am recreating that one, and as you can see, the footage is in a little bit of time lapse, so it's going to go by just a little bit faster than usual. But what you can see here is that I'm creating this pattern in a slightly different way than I did last time. So I just wanted to see how it would look when there's just a slight shift in the way that I do it. If you ever want to see the original pattern, I do have it in a playlist available on my channel that is titled Miss Betsy's Patterns. So having said that, here you can see it's working up pretty quickly. The line work for this is actually not terribly complicated once you really get started and you start noticing that you're kind of just spiraling around and around. You start to see that it's actually pretty nice and it just kind of builds up. And you can make this whole thing the way that I'm doing it, where I kind of just stop after just one or two rotations. Or you can actually just keep going and fill the entire page. It's really satisfying either way. There's a lot of potential here in this kind of design, especially when it's something that just keeps growing and growing and growing, like this pattern does. So here you can see that those little kind of archways that I build inside of each one of the sections here inside of each segment, so these right here, I'm really only coloring them in part way or kind of shading them in with my pen part way. So I think that that was a nice little change to the way that design is made, and I'm really enjoying it because the last time I did it, I actually would just fill in that whole space just with black. So I'm doing it this way, and then the other fun thing that I'm changing up in this drawing here is I am actually going to use some color. So in a second, after you see me adding this kind of dark border around this thing, so I'm using a brush pen that I got recently. So I'm just going to fill in that edge with black, something I tend to do in a lot of my drawings. I'm actually going to use some kind of watercolor brush pens. These are some pretty inexpensive ones that I got from Amazon, and so I'm just kind of learning to play around with those right now. I've had them for quite a while, probably a couple of years now, so I'm surprised that they still work so well. So I'm going to go in here and I'm using this kind of like a fuchsia purple kind of color. You guys know me, I am a purple queen, so any chance I get I'm going to use some purple. And I'm going in with this really nice blue, and I think they just kind of blend together really nicely. I'm not doing any kind of complicated coloring or anything like that. As you can see, I'm kind of just playing around with these two markers. And so as I'm going around here at the base, I'm using that kind of purple color. And then I'm finishing it off by adding blue around the remainder of the drawing. So there we go. That's just kind of the color that I'm adding this time. If any of you joined me during my last live stream, so just a couple of days ago, then you know that I am about to start the 100-day project. And so my goal for that is to continue doing my same kind of drawings, but to use more color. And I'm also going to be live streaming all of those drawings. So that's 100 days worth of drawings that I'm going to be doing live stream with all of you guys. And then I'm just kind of hoping to really learn a lot more about my process by doing this. So it's going to be really interesting. So this is kind of just practice for that. So what I'm adding here right now, what you can see me doing is adding just some pencil. And if you want to know which pencil it is that I'm using specifically, this one is the Generals. It's the extra dark pencil. I think it's equivalent to a 10B pencil. So if you have a set of pencils, you may already have one in there. That's what I'm using here. And then I'm just kind of smoothing out that graphite using a blending stump. And that's all I'm using here. And you can see I'm just adding it right there at the base of where I kind of added the purple to all of these, and just adding a nice little shadow there. I don't like that it covered up some of that purple, but hey, that's how things go. And so there it is. There is the part that I colored on this drawing. I think I really liked it. I know that I don't color my drawings too often, but I'm really trying to focus on kind of exploring some of that in my drawings. And so all I'm doing is I'm going around the remainder of the page here. And if you're wondering, this is, I think, like a 4-inch by 6-inch, I believe. It's a pretty small piece of paper. And all I'm doing is I'm adding these shapes here, and they kind of look like petals, they kind of look like leaves. It's up to you to interpret what they kind of look like. But again, if you are new to the channel and you're dropping by today, any of these kind of designs or patterns, you can always see them in my patterns playlist, and you can kind of check them out and try them out for yourself. So here you can see I'm just kind of going around adding that same one. I have a tendency to not use too many different designs in a single drawing, at least these days. Sometimes I do add a lot more and I notice it just takes a whole lot more time to finish the drawing. But right now the goal is to kind of get these done a little faster. So here I'm just going to fill the rest of it in with black. I really do like to do that a lot, so you're probably going to see me do that quite a bit. And again, I'm using that wonderful brush pen and just filling around the edges. It's pretty nice. It just kind of gives lots of good contrast. And if any of you are interested in checking out that pen or some of the supplies that I'm using, I will make sure to put those in the description of the video along with some other links. So right here I'm just using the pencil again. So again, this is General's extra dark pencil. I think it's the number 555 is what they call it. It's pretty good. And so I'm just going around each one of those shapes there and along the border that is right up against that kind of purple and blue shape that I made. That's where I'm adding some graphite and then using the blending stump. And so here you have it. This is pretty much what resulted. I think it was a pretty nice little exercise. I really enjoyed it. And I'm really, really glad that I used colors this time. I think it really does help it pop just a little more. I still feel a little uncomfortable with it for some reason, but I'm doing my best. And so this is a nice little result for this little drawing. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope you have a wonderful day.